welcome to Newfoundland and Labrador Studies 2205. This is Unit 3, The Country Grows. I'm Miss Fleming, your instructor for this course. This is Section 5, Lesson 5, Video 1, on Smallwoods' Economic Plan. Before we begin, I wanted to talk about Joseph Smallwood. As Premier, Joey Smallwood fostered a lot of change. His efforts to modernize Newfoundland and Labrador are historically significant and still affect the province today. In 1949, Smallwood addressed his plans for modernization, and I wanted to include this quote because I still feel that it is important for what we're seeing today in society. We must develop or perish. We must develop or people will go in the thousands to other parts of Canada. We must create new jobs. Develop, develop, develop. That's been my slogan, and that will remain my slogan. Today in our lives, there's no one who hasn't been affected by either a family member moving away or working turnaround, that they're going to other parts of Canada. So first is attracting new industries. The central theme of Smallwood's economic plan was to develop, diversify, and modernize. Large amounts were spent to develop new roads, install water and sewer systems, and finance a major rural electrification program to encourage industrial development. His government also worked to modernize the fishery and diversify the economy by establishing small-scale industries through attracting European investors, and then funding mega-projects. We'll talk about that in a bit. First, let's talk about modernizing the fishery. Smallwood believed that modernization of the fishery was essential to move forward, and continued to develop frozen fish processing. Between 1950 and 1967, the government spent $30 million, including loans to fish companies, so they could build, maintain, and expand processing plants and buy trawlers. Individual fishers were also encouraged to buy longliners and large boats to enable them to range farther. Frozen fish processing was less labor-intensive and had easier access to markets, and would increase Canada's trade capacity. Despite the economic sense, it took a long time for the province to catch on. It was about 15 years actually before frozen fish production to surpass saltfish production. Additionally, the Canadian Saltfish Corporation was established in 1971 to maintain that sector of the fishery because there was still a market for saltfish. This brought about some lifestyle changes. Women began working in fish plants, working outside the home, and men joined trawling fleets and were gone from home for longer periods of time. Then there was manufacturing. Efforts to develop small-scale manufacturing faced many obstacles. The small population meant demand was low, and not enough to justify the cost of widespread manufacturing operations. While there were some manufacturing and processing facilities in St. John's for the domestic market, less than 7% of the labor force was in manufacturing. The federal government brought in Alfred Waldmanis as Director of Economic Development, and in an attempt to relocate a number of industries facing difficulties in Europe, but these failed. Manufacturing goods here was not feasible due to the cost of importing raw materials and exporting the finished products. Now let's talk about those mega projects I mentioned before. Since attempts to develop new industries failed, the Smallwood government moved on in the mid-60s to mega projects. The chief stumbling block, though, was financing. The government tried to entice foreign investors with tax breaks, loans, and cheap hydroelectric power. The projects included a phosphorus manufacturing plant in Long Harbour, an oil refinery in Come by Chance, a massive hydroelectric project at Churchill Falls in Labrador, and a linerboard mill in Stephenville. Now it's time to continue to the next video, which is on those mega projects and more detail on them. Make sure you take a break though before continuing, and I'll see you in a bit.